Let me photograph.
He had a red flannel shirt, and he had a down vest on. I couldn't tell you exactly what color it was just dark. And he had a package, I believe, underneath one of his arms.
Okay, if you saw this individual again, would you be able to recognize him?
No, I don't think so. To be honest with you, I really don't want to get involved.
All right, I understand that. I know we held you up. I need to take a statement from you. How about if I let you use my phone? You can call your boss and explain to him that we held you up for a few minutes.
Well, if he gives me permission, I'll do it.
Okay, great.
So how long have you owned this building?
About 2 years now.
And your name again, sir?
Larry Puckett.
And could you tell me how you were notified about the fire?
I got a call from somebody in the neighborhood.
Do you know who that was?
No, I don't know.
Could you wait right here for me, sir?
Sure.
Thank you.
JP, how you making out?
Actually, I just started.
Okay, I need you to do one more favor for me.
Okay.
I need you to check all the local gas stations in the area, see if there's any small purchases of gasoline.
Okay.
Take care of that for me?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Eddie.
Yeah.
The dog just hit on a paper bag with some type of container inside. And I need you and Louie to get down, photograph it, and collect it. Also, the dog hit on a guy in the crowd. He says his name is Larry Puckett, and he's the owner of this building.
All right, we'll be right up.
Okay.
First floor rear, that's apartment 1B. I just had some work done in there, some painting and drywall. I hope those guys didn't screw anything up.
Well, I'll talk to them about it. Who's the occupant of that apartment 1B?
That's Tina Booker. She's a college student, nice kid.
Do you know where she is now?
No, she moved out for a couple of days while they're working on her apartment.
Is there any way for me to get in touch with her?
No, well, you know, I could check the lease. I think her parents are on it as co-signs. Their name and address should appear in the lease. I'll do that for you if you'd like.
Oh, I would appreciate that. Mr. Puckett, do you have any insurance on the building?
Did you do it?
All right, so you said you were home all day working on your house today, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Did anyone see you while you were working on your house?
No, I don't think so. You know, maybe a neighbor or two.
Okay, you told Inspector Harris that you received a phone call and you learned about the fire at 209 Sherman?
Well, actually, I heard it on the radio. I've got a police scanner. I own quite a few properties in bad neighborhoods, so I like to keep track of what's going on.
Why didn't you say that before?
I don't know.
After you heard on the radio, you drove right over to 209 Sherman?
Yep, that's right.
And you drove?
Yes, sir, I did. I had to park my car down the street, though, because of all the traffic around here.
All right, just to confirm, you weren't in the area of 209 Sherman Avenue anytime this morning about 9:30?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, today, did you handle any flammable liquids, any gasoline, charcoal lighter fluid, paint thinner, anything along that line?
No. Why ask me that?
Just a standard part of the investigation. I'm trying to eliminate all the possibilities. I'd like you to take a look at this. I'd like to take a look in your car. This is a consent form. I want you to read this, and it gives us permission to enter your vehicle.
What's my car got to do with anything?
Again, just a standard part of the investigation procedure.
Hello, Ed Berman speaking.
Ed, Larry Puckett, Pine Street Realty.
Yes, Larry, how are you? What could I do for you today?
Well, I'm not so good right now. I just found out that there was a fire at a property I've insured through you. It's on Sherman Avenue, 209 Sherman. I just left there, and it looks pretty bad.
Was anyone hurt?
No, thank God everybody got out okay, but the first floor is totally destroyed, and the police think there was a break-in.
Okay, Larry, let me get some specifics here. You say the fire happened today.
Yeah, today, sometime before noon.
And how did you learn about the fire?
The police called me.
Let me pull the file on that property. Marianne, I need the Pine Street.
Okay, so he says the entire first floor has been destroyed. There's a possible forced entry, maybe a burglary. What else?
He had some renovations done in there recently and increased the coverage. We haven't received the endorsement yet from you folks, so the numbers may be different when it shows up in your system. I'll fax you the new limits now.
Okay. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks. Barbara, we got a new fire coming up. Now, I know you're real busy, but
Okay, fellas, I know it's been a long day, but before we leave, let's make sure we have everything we need. Eddie, we eliminated all the accidental causes?
Yeah, all accidental causes have been eliminated and documented.
All right, good. How about photographs?
Photographs, I photographed the exterior, and Louis photographed the interior and all physical evidence.
I also took some Polaroids of the interior as backups.
All right, great. You have a neighborhood canvas?
Yeah, we got a neighbor who puts a UPS guy here and a white male in the vicinity about the time of the fire. I got a kid that puts a big yellow car across the street in front of the store just before the fire. The building owner drives a Oldsmobile 98, color yellow. I need to talk to the occupant, especially 1B. She's gone. She'll be back here tomorrow. I also have to interview the building owner's neighbors. He's done some work in his house. I just want to confirm that he was here, that he was there today.
Okay, Eddie, what have we done with the physical evidence?
Physical evidence taken, a sample from the hallway rug where the dog hit, newspaper and a knotted material that was stuffed under the living room couch. The dog also hit on that. We're looking at fingerprints and a boot print from around the back door area. Forensics also sampled what appeared to be blood from that same area, and there was a tire track that was being looked at, and we're going to check it against the owner's vehicle.
You've noted all this in your diagram?
Well noted.
Okay, and you'll be bringing the evidence to the lab?
Tomorrow morning.
Vinny, what do we have on the owner?
Okay, I did a background on the building and the owner. He's cited for 2 recent building code violations, 1 for heat and 1 for lead paint. He's behind about 2 years in his taxes. By the way, he just had some renovations done. I need to speak with the contractors tomorrow.
Let's run it down again.
Okay, we need to interview the insured and get to see him tomorrow if possible. Get permission to board up the location, review the application and change in coverage limits.
Good.
Check with the police. Was there any forced entry? And if so, is there anything missing? Touch base with the fire marshal. See if he has any information available to us right now. Do the scope of loss and pricing.
Make sure to file pillar.
Right, file the pillar. And the contractor. See when he was in the building last, and if he was using any flammable material. And if so, is there any chance of subrogation?
Excellent. And don't forget the tenants.
Yeah, I'll see what I can find out about the tenants in the apartment where the fire started. What else? The cause and origin expert. Do we want to hire our own?
Yeah, I think we should. Now, this is New Haven. We normally go with John Dello, but he's out of town right now. His backup is a guy by the name of Chris Todd. Ah, here it is. Let's take a look at this. Excellent credentials. He's certified, 20 years experience, and he's testified in state and federal courts. And he sent us some of his work product. It looks pretty good. Why don't you put a call into him right away? See if he can get out there now, and have him call us back immediately after he's done.
Would you like one?
No thanks, it's a little early for me.
I know. I'm trying to stop smoking. So did you find out yet what happened out there?
Well, we're working on it, and we have our investigator out there right now. I have a packet of information that I'd like to leave with you. I'd also like to spend some time to go over some of the more important items in the packet. I have a tape recorder, and I'd like to record this interview, if that's all right.
That's okay. But do I have to read all this?
It's pretty straightforward, really. The most important thing we have to do is inspect the lost site. I'd like you to get a contractor out there to do an evaluation of the damage to the building. Let me know who the contractor is, and I'll work with him to get a fair estimate of repairs to the building. Now, I know you have tenants who are displaced from the property, and I'm sure that's of some concern to you.
Yeah, thank God no one got hurt. But I have 0 income coming in from this property right now, and I have a mortgage to pay. Is this going to take long to settle?
Well, I'll be working with you as quickly as possible to settle the scope of the claim. But to do that, I need to document the facts of the loss. So I appreciate you meeting with me so quickly.
No problem.
I'd like to go over 2 of the more important forms, the non-waiver agreement and the financial authorization form. Could we look at those for a minute?
Sure.
When were you in the building last?
Last week, Tuesday, I was in there to see about some repairs.
What kind of repairs?
Plumbing, sheetrock, painting.
Who did the work?
A local contractor. I've used him before. Caputo. Ralph Caputo.
Were these repairs in the area of the fire?
Near it? Hell yes. That's the same apartment that burned. If he or any of his crew screwed up out there.
Well, when was a contractor in there last?
Tuesday and Wednesday this week.
I'll definitely want to talk to him. Lastly, who had keys to the apartment?
There were 2 sets. The tenant had a set and I had a set. But on the day of the fire, my keys were with Caputo, the contractor. I gave them to him so he could do the repairs I mentioned earlier.
Okay, so there were 2 sets of keys to the apartment. Before we conclude the interview, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Nope.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Puckett. Here's my card. Call me anytime. If I'm not there, just leave a voicemail. I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Hey, Eddie. Chris, good to see you. This is Barbara Guess.
Nice to meet
Hello,
you.
Barbara. She's an adjuster with AG Primary Insurance, and I'm working the fire at 209 Sherman Avenue for them. We just left the fire scene. I took some samples, and I also took a section of flooring out of the living room. I wanted to stop by and let you guys know, in case you went back over there for any reason, who has the floor.
Did you cover it?
I did. I put a door over it and nailed it down.
That's great.
I also took a sample of rug from the hallway, and we're going to submit that to our lab for analysis. Hey, Ed, the First In Company's at 209 Sherman. When are they back on duty?
Engine Company 9, Division 4. It's tomorrow night after 6. We're continuing our investigation, and there's a possibility that we're going to need a copy of your file. If we find that we have to submit a immunity letter, to whom do we send it?
You can just send it to me. Here's my card.
Thank you.
Ed, I'm going to go upstairs and see if I can get copies of the run report. While I'm up there, would you mind if I used your telephone? I told Barbara's supervisor to call when we left 209 Sherman.
Sure, that's no problem.
Thank you. I'll be upstairs, Barbara.
Okay, thanks. Inspector, we were at the scene of the fire today, and we did a quick canvass of the neighborhood. There's a woman across the street from 209 Sherman, a Mrs. Witherspoon. I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to her, but she's very cooperative. She says she saw 2 boys hanging around the back of the building, and she thinks they had something to do with the fire.
Okay, great, thanks. What's next? 209 Sherman Avenue. Barbara, what do we have on it?
Well, our insured's name is a Mr. Larry Puckett, and he lives at 1153 Nealon Street. The building that burned is a house he operates under the name of Pine Street Realty. The policy was originally issued 2 years ago at $120,000 in limits, but was very recently increased to $160,000. I thought this was suspicious, so I contacted Ed Berman, the agent. Turns out the policy is coming up for renewal, and Ed discussed increasing the limits with the insured, taking into account some recent renovations to the building and some ongoing renovations. Also, our investigator has confirmed that the fire was incendiary, so I've taken samples and had them sent to the lab. I've interviewed the insured and the tenant. I've also reviewed the underwriting file. There's one problem with the application. It's not signed. Signature on file is all I have.
That's a real problem. Agents just don't seem to understand that a signature on file is not binding. We really need to do something about that. Okay, Barbara, what else do you have?
Well, the insured states he was at home on the day of the fire doing some repairs around his house, and that he first learned of the fire from a call he received from the police department. And this was about noon. He says he left his house immediately and went to the scene of the fire and identified himself to the police. Now, the apartment was unoccupied on the day of the fire. Our insured asked the tenant to vacate so some repairs could be done to the building. Contractors were scheduled to be working in the building just prior to the fire. Our insured voiced some concern that they were responsible in some way for the fire. I talked to the contractor. It turns out he got held up at a previous job and never made it to 209 Sherman. They were never in the building and no work was done. The insured says the police think there was a break-in.
Did you talk to the police?
Yes, I spoke to a Detective Rachi. He confirmed a possible forced entry, and he took the entire door frame as evidence. So it left very little for our investigator to look at. I talked to the tenant after she had a chance to go back into the home. She couldn't identify anything as being missing. She said she had a TV, a stereo, and some computer equipment. Our investigator found all these amongst the debris. He even found a jewelry box.
With the jewelry still in it?
Yes. The tenant confirms Mr. Puckett asked her to vacate the apartment so some repairs could be done. She was staying with her parents on the day of the fire. I interviewed them as well. They said all the furniture was secondhand, nothing of value. The thing they were most concerned about was her schoolwork. She's a senior and due to graduate this year, and this could really hurt her.
Any previous losses?
His application says none in the past 5 years. I'm waiting for the pillar report to come back to confirm that. I touched base with the fire officials. This case is still under investigation. but we may be getting an immunity letter from them. What do you want to do next?
Where do we want to go with this?